So in this video today, I'm going to show you how to save upwards to $20,000 a year and potentially be able to retire 10 to 20 years earlier just by moving overseas. So this is something that I want to talk about today in this video is the pros of international living, digital nomadism, expat life. Now, I recently made a video about the cons and the dark side and some of the issues with this lifestyle, but overall, this lifestyle greatly outweighs the negatives, and that's the reason I'm here in Thailand and not back in the US. So, I want to talk in this video about the two biggest impacts about living overseas. This video is going to be more about the actual practical things, the dollars to cents. So, this video is going to be really insightful for anybody who's considering moving abroad. And surprisingly enough, I've met a lot of people who've lived abroad for years and they just didn't know this. And I've had comments of people who read my book. And one of the biggest takeaways, like, hey, thanks, Mike. You saved me $20,000 this year. Thank you so much. So, with that segue, let's go ahead and dig in. So, the first area, the first biggest thing that most people understand is geo arbitrage. So, essentially, what that means is you're taking advantage of earning in dollars and spending in pesos. It's one of the most common sayings, one of the most technical things, but I want to break that down of what exactly does that mean and how does that work for somebody who's been living overseas for 10, 15, 20 years. So I've been doing this since 2011 and I've learned a lot about this. So let me kind of dig into it. So with geo arbitrage, there's a few different levels to it. During COVID, a lot of people realized, hey, I can move out of the expensive California real estate market. I can buy a mansion in Las Vegas, in Texas, and other parts of the United States. So I can actually change my apartment to a mansion and I can pay less in taxes and groceries are going to be cheaper. Doing events is going to be cheaper. The day-to-day life is going to be cheaper. And I'm still going to have access to all these other great things. So America, I think, really understood that with COVID and this huge shift to get out of these major cities because a lot of people could work remotely. And so imagine that, but you're getting 10 times more value and savings for your lifestyle. That's essentially what international geo arbitrage can provide you with, right? So, to live what I'm living in now in the US in a place that is with a sea view that's in an island, I think you're looking at Hawaii and you're looking at probably $30,000 per month. What I'm able to get for a fraction that's going to be 5 to 10 times cheaper than that. So the geo arbitrage is a big element. And so one, there's going to be some things that go into this, right? There's going to be people who say you're gentrifying another place. And unfortunately, my sort of counter to that is this is just a trend. This is how it's always going to be and how it always will be. Gentrification is just supply and demand. People are going to constantly move and change their borders. If they can increase their lifestyle for a cheaper price, they're going to do it. Whether it's with food, real estate, cars, any industry. If I can go to a car dealership who's, 30 minutes across the border, buy a car in another state, save, 10% in taxes, I think a lot of people are going to do that 30-minute drive. And it's not unethical, it's smart, it's the way the market and capitalism is structured. And so geo arbitrage, like I mentioned in that first thing, can help you retire early. And so let me really plainly spell out what this means. Imagine you're trying to get your business started. You have about 2 to 3 months of startup capital in San Francisco, in California, and you don't know if your business is going to be able to survive that. You can, with day one, move over to Thailand or another place overseas. Even in the US, you can change your location, turn that 2 to 3 months of runway into 6 months, into 12 months, 24 months. So it's going to give your business a better chance of success. And that's the biggest killer of businesses that I've seen is usually runway and not being able to have enough of it to survive. So you can save your business, but if you don't have a business, what does that look like? you're making $100,000 in New York and you probably still feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck. That same $100,000 is going to make you a king overseas. You're going to have a better apartment. You're going to have better services, better day to day lifestyle. But at the end of the day, you're going to save a huge percentage of that paycheck. You're going to be able to reinvest that into stocks, cryptos, savings, you name it, or just things that you want to buy. Like you can improve your lifestyle, your wardrobe, whatever. You can invest a bigger portion of that. And so, what does that actually do on a longer period of time? So, if you can realistically go from, most Americans are spending about a third on their rent, a third on, food and services, and then most people aren't even able to save that other third. Now you can completely flip the script where you're only spending a third of your paycheck and saving the rest. So you go from living paycheck to paycheck to saving 70% of your income if done correctly. Now, I've seen a lot of people move overseas and they take those bad habits with them and they end up still living paycheck to paycheck. So you do have to mentally shift and make some drastic changes to do that. And so on a longer period of timeline, this can allow you to, one, work less hours. You can have a better day to day life. You can work 20 to 30 hours if structured properly. You can also retire early. I've seen people who just move abroad because their retirement age, where they needed X amount of savings to live their same lifestyle in the US. And if that lifestyle gets 3 to 5 times cheaper, then their savings amount allows them to live a comfortable life abroad. They can retire 20 years earlier. So you can work less, have a better life, retire earlier, and have more savings and and leftover money to reinvest into things that you like and things that are going to make you more money. So that's geo arbitrage in a nutshell. And it's probably one of the biggest reasons that most people like living overseas. It's higher quality of life for a lower price, saving more money, saving more of your hard earned money, reinvesting it, and getting bigger and faster results for a extended period of time. Now, the second thing I mentioned is you can actually get paid to live overseas. And this is what I'm going to talk about, which is tax incentives to live abroad. Now, no matter what country you're from, wherever you are in the world, there is some tax incentive to not living in your country. If you're in the United States, it's called foreign earned income exclusion. Up to around $130,000 per year, you can essentially not have to pay taxes on that amount. Then you can add in things like a housing stipend, home office, a few other things to get that number up. Ballpark around $150,000 per year of non-taxable income, where the U.S. is essentially going to be paying you money to live overseas because you're not using up those resources. You're not living in the United States. There are a few caveats, and I want to really put some heavy disclosures. This is not financial advice. Talk to somebody who is an actual professional. Every situation is very unique, and that's why it's hard to give financial advice online, because there's a million different makeups. What type of business you have? Are you married? Are you single? What state do you live in? Are you planning to renounce your citizenship? How long are you going to spend abroad? There's all these questions that make it very unique. And so just having two different options, there's a lot of possibilities. But when you have dozens and dozens, there's endless possibilities. And that's why I suggest strongly to talk to a tax professional. Ask them specifically if they understand expat tax code. And there's a lot of these tax professionals that specialize in this. But the thing you're specifically wanting to ask for is foreign earned income exclusion. And there's two ways to be eligible for this. Essentially, you can live overseas for 330 days out of the year, and it can be within any 12-month period. So if you're wanting to start this lifestyle, you can start today, move abroad, live overseas for 330 days out of the year, and be eligible for foreign earned income exclusion. The second path, which isn't as clear cut, but is still a really good option, is if you have a second residency abroad and you can prove that to the US government that you have this residency and you're actually utilizing it, then that situation comes with a small amount of gray area where I haven't seen it really clearly defined, but you can spend more time in the United States. I believe I've seen people clarify up to 3 to 6 months, but this is something you really need to check if you're going to go through this route because it's not as clear cut stated. And this isn't some gray area. This isn't some loophole. This is a black and white FEIE exclusion that is on the IRS website. You can find it. You can read through all the stipulations yourself and figure out how the United States government will essentially pay you around $20,000 a year to live overseas. And hey, that can fund your lifestyle in Thailand for at least cut into your rent for pretty much anywhere in Thailand. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to hear about some of the not so glamorous sides of digital nomadism, living abroad, I made a video that kind of cracks down into what I think has been the biggest, what I've seen for myself, from other friends. And again, it is a little bit of, hey, we're focusing on the downsides of this lifestyle. But with anything, there's always going to be downsides. The main thing you got to ask yourself is, do the positives outweigh the negatives? And for me and the lifestyle that I want, it's like a 99% to 1%. So check that video out. And if you enjoyed these videos like this, where it's a little bit more casual, leave a comment below, give this video a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe. I'm putting out new videos every single day, so you won't want to miss them. See you in the next one.